Where's the monument to the women?
Well, there's no monuments to the women, as there never have been.
Do you think you got recognition for what you did in the war?
Well, during that time, yes, we did.
Now?
Oh no, not now. You wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be thought anything of now, would it? Because I mean, they're planning another war to start with. So what difference does the 1914 war make, or the Zulu war before that, or 39 to 45 war? Makes no difference. It's all part of history, isn't it? As far as everybody's concerned. I mean, I've heard children, and I'm saying children, I'm talking about young boys, between 18 and 30, talking about war, and they think it's a wonderful thing. And yet I turn on and say to them, you haven't lived through one yet, boy. You lived through a war, and you wouldn't want to see another war, and I mean that. As much as I enjoyed my life during the war, I wouldn't like to live through another one. But then I wouldn't live through another one. Because with this nuclear business, nobody'd stand a chance. Would they?
No.
With the nuclear war.
Margaret, how old were you when you left school?
14 years of age. I was supposed to stay on in school because my mother was having a pension, 5 shillings a week to keep me. And I went with a friend of mine down to Bath and Laundry. She had a job, but she had to take a leaving card down. And as we were leaving, the manager, Mr. Yendel, said to me, don't you want a job? And I said, how much a week is it? And he said 10 shillings. So I said, oh, well, that's more than my mother would get for me if I stay in school, so I took the job. You either left school at 14, or you went to the grammar school if you passed to 11 plus, but you paid for your education in those days. Today, of course, you get your educational grants.
What opportunities were there for young girls like yourself on leaving school?
Well, it was either factories or shops. I mean, it was only the 11 plus girls that went to college that actually got office jobs or what have you.
Did you choose the laundry for a particular reason?
Well, I went to the laundry to work simply because I couldn't go to grammar school or high school because my mother couldn't afford to send me there. It was all women.
And you remember you paid, don't you?
Yes, 10 shillings when I started. Marvellous, for 50 hours a week. We had to go in at 7 and we worked right through to 5, and if there was an urgent job wanted, we worked until 8. And it was not a case of will you work, you had to work. You see, that's the way it worked in those days. And we worked on Saturdays right through to 4.
Was that every Saturday?
Every Saturday.
You
had to work 50 hours a week for that 10 shillings, so what did that work out? What penny an hour?
And you were a twin presser?
I was a twin rapid presser, and that was 2 pressing machines in one that went round in a circle. You threw it around and it sucked up under the hot bed, as we call it, see?
Yeah.
And we pressed overalls, shirt bodies, well, anything like that, anything in the wearing line, you know.
And you had a lot of brothers and sisters?
I had 6 sisters besides myself, and my brother, you see. Well, I mean, that meant that she couldn't, in those days, deprive the other children to put me through a high school education. I mean, I went to the Baths and Laundry to work, and the fact that I didn't get 10 shillings a week, I mean, that's 50 pence now.
Yeah.
It was wonderful, it was fantastic wages. I mean, I was not a working class, I was middle class with my money.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Not working class, because my sister, she worked for, as I say, 22.5 pence today, half a crown in those days, and she worked in a shop. Now, she was a lady.
Yeah.
Definitely, she was a lady, you see.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to work in a laundry, a factory of all places. Terrible. With my education, with the brain I had. Disgusting, see?
Yeah.
But the money was there.
Who was earning in the family at this time?
My sister Iris, she was cook housekeeper, and she was having 5 shillings a week. Elsie, she was on half a crown a week, and she was working in a shop. So they were the only 2 earners. So somebody else had to come out and earn, so I came out and earned.
So your income was important then?
Oh yes,
For the
definitely,
family?
yeah.
Yeah. And you were only 17 at the outbreak of war?
Oh yeah. I was 17 in the August, war broke out in September. And then my mother turned around and said, oh my God, not again.
Yeah.
So of course naturally I turned and said to her, well, what's war like, Mum? It's not a very pleasant thing. She said, we didn't touch us last time, but what's going to happen this time? Because she said things are so advanced.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they were that advanced.
Yeah.
Within a couple of months, we would be bombed in town.
Yeah. Well,
In experts to see.
yeah. Yeah.
It was a case of that we were told by the government then, put it that way, because it was from the government that the radio was giving us the information, that all who weren't in essential jobs would be called up. That was the men. And also women were going to be called up. But we didn't know what women were going to be called up for. But it worked out that women would be called up for the Army, the Navy and the Air Force to do their bits there. Of course the Land Army, Munitions, that's what the call up was for women. Five main things, you see. And of course women would have to take over the jobs of men, like bus drivers, railway guards, everything like that, where men actually worked. Women took over. I thought, well, a friend of mine was going into the ATS, and I said I wouldn't mind going. My younger sister said she'd come with the ATS, so we went and we signed up, didn't we? But my mother wasn't very keen about us going into the ATS. And of course she did have a heart problem, and she I passed my medical A1, was ready to go to the ATS, and my sister. But then the doctor stopped my sister because she'd had meningitis at the age of 13. The doctor wouldn't let me go either because of my mother's heart condition. Now that's the only time you can say that anybody got away with it, because their mothers, the men had to go. The women were pulled back. They could pull the women back, but they couldn't pull the men back. So I was determined then that I would do something for the war effort, and I went to Munitions. I said, well, if you won't let me go to the army, then I'll go and make the ammunition for the men. And that's what I done.
And how did you get to work?
By train. 3 shifts. There was the morning shift, and we had to be down at the station at 4 o'clock to catch the train in the morning. And there was the 2 to 10. We'd be down there by midday to catch the train. And then there was the night shift, you had to be down there by 8 o'clock to catch the train.
And did you go with all your friends?
Oh yes, I mean we made friends and we became very, very close. We stuck together very well, you know, I mean real comrades in war kind of thing, you know. We were like the back of the front line, weren't we really? And we used to go up on the train, we used to be singing and enjoying ourselves till we got to the factory, and then we settled down and got on with our work.
Another sidelight on shell filling. One factory has its own station and its workers their own train, necessitated by the mammoth scale of munition making. Thousands of girls are employed here, and every precaution is taken to make sure that no unauthorized person enters the factory. As they work with high explosives, they must leave behind everything that is in the least likely to cause an accident. All this care is abundantly justified in the excellent safety record of munition production throughout the war.
Were there hazards attached to this train journey?
Yes, there were hazards because when the planes came over, bombing, the jerry planes, I mean, on many occasions they followed the train all the way up. And, well, they did drop bombs one particular night when we got at Tremaines, as we called it. And as we were going over the bridge, we used to let the sticker bombs go. But luckily, it didn't touch the factory. And they weren't that good shots, really. You know, I mean, when they was bombing Swansea, they supposed to be bombing the docks, and they bombed the town. So I think we were lucky, really, that way, because they didn't actually hit the factory.
What shift was this? Was it in darkness when you went?
Well, that was on the night shift, actually, that we were followed, you see, because the fire on the train, because there were steam trains in those days, the fire on the train was giving light to Jerry to follow. But otherwise, I mean, everything was blacked out. We didn't have no lights in the train. we used to pull the blinds and have a little candle to give ourselves a bit of light, but that's as far as it went, you know. I mean, there was no lights, actual train lights, is there?
As each shift comes on duty, the girls have to change clothing. They must wear nothing at work that might cause even a spark. Walking shoes are discarded, amongst other things, and stepping over to the clean side, the girls are ready to don their working gear. They all have their own bags, containing their overalls, rubber shoes, and whatever else their work clothes include. Next, they have to make up. There's no concession to vanity about this. It's to protect the skin from rash, which would otherwise be set up by particles of explosive dust in the air. The face cream and powder supplied are tinted and perfumed, equal in quality to the best you can buy in peacetime from Elizabeth Arden. Made up and in rubber-soled shoes, they're ready for the day's work. In this factory, they fill Oerlikon shells. They wear masks to prevent the dust getting into their mouths. The Oerlikon is the crack anti-aircraft gun fitted to merchant ships. Its great worth has just been demonstrated anew by the latest convoy to reach Malta. Little less than the merchant ships, Royal Ordnance factories are in the front line. Minister of Supply Andrew Duncan recently lauded their achievements in Parliament. The minister also paid a well-deserved tribute to the Director General of Filling Factories, C.S. Robinson. Quiet Robbie gets his results because he knows his workers not as so many hands, but as human beings, all toiling together to win the war.
Now, all around the factory was a maze of tarmac paths. You had to stay on those paths. They were called the clean way. You weren't allowed to go off those at all, because if you did, it would cause friction when you went into the shops. The dirty ways were mounds of earth that had been grassed over, or the dumps, as we call them. That was where they put the munitions into for safety's sake. But now we had to stay on those tarmac paths. That was the clean way. Going up to the canteen, you had to stay on the steps or the ladder, like a ladder steps, you see. And in the canteen, that's still clean. That's still the clean way. But if you went out through the other side of the canteen, you were on the dirty, so you weren't allowed to go that way either. Not with the factory clothes on. The only time we were allowed out there, as I say, was after you passed the barrier, put your own outside clothes on, then you could walk there, you could go on the soil and anything then, it didn't make no difference. But you had to stay on that maze of tarmac path. And it was just like a maze. There was path going that way, and a path going to the left, path going up to the right, paths crossing one another, you know. Well, they would be fined if they went on to what we call the dirty. Some did. But other than that, no. And we never caught them. They would have, those that did take a cigarette in, tucked in their hair, or a match tucked in this side, and they'd have a cigarette in the toilet. I mean, they were caught, and they were really charged there. But it was very few and far between, that was, because it was too much of a risk, really. Because that powder, it was in the toilets as well, as on the cleanways, as we call them, and in the shops. That powder would be there, because we were carrying it on the overalls.
So you were breathing it in all the time, were you?
Oh, yes. Well, it was in the air, just like dust. So, I mean, you would breathe it in.
Did it penetrate your clothing?
Penetrate the clothing, yes, because, well, the underneath of my feet were mustard colour with the powder, and that's going through the soles of my shoes.
And your underwear used to cause friction as well?
Well, when we first started there, we used to have, what we'd call Celanese today. We call it Celanese, I don't know what you call it. We call it like a jersey, I suppose, but we called it Celanese. Now then, when you take that off, you'd see little lights sparkling all over. The electricity from that on your body would cause sparks. Well, they found that was causing quite a lot of problems in the munition factories. So they started investigating that, to see what they could do. But most girls wore satin or silk. I mean, in those days, satin and silk were cheap. Today, satin and silk was expensive. But we used to wear satin and silk clothes more than we'd use at what we call then the Celanese, you see. the 70s did cause trouble.
What exactly were you making at the factory?
Well, I was on fuses and detonators
For what exactly?
for bombs, shells.
I see. Can you describe the different stages of the work?
Well, we made the fuse on our section, and that was assembling the gunpowder into the fuse, and then the cordite, and the detonator, and then the plunger.
So there
And
was...
that went then to another section, and the bottom of the shell or the bottom of the bomb that had been filled in would be connected to that. And that's the way it went through the factory.
with an actual conveyor belt?
No, the conveyor belt was only in the shop where we were assembling. It went from section to section on, well, you'd call them trains, but we used to call them tracks.
And what was your actual part in the
I was an
work?
inspector. I had to inspect the fuses to make sure that they were workable without blowing myself up.
And was it hard getting used to the shift work?
No, I mean, I was young. It came not natural. We didn't find no problem. At least I didn't find any problem. My sisters didn't find any problem. And I don't think anybody else did. We just automatically took it in our stride.
Can you remember your wages when you started?
Yes. £4, £4.10 shillings, £4.50 used to go today, yeah. And it went up, and when the war ended, I was earning a large amount. It was £7.19 and 6. Fantastic wages in our time, of course, nationally. And it is 5 shillings and 10 shillings. I mean, we were there. Our food was free in the canteen. If you wanted any extra, of course, you paid for it. But I mean, the food we had was quite sufficient. You had a 3-course meal. And you had a break, like an 11 o'clock break, but it'd be all according to what shift you were on. And you'd have a lunch, and you'd have supper.
Can you describe the safety measures at the workbenches for the girls?
Well, it was very strict. The safety measures was strict, but of course, some of the girls would want to do things a bit quicker, and they'd neglect the safety measures.
Were they behind a screen?
There were screens, there was gloves to put your hands into to go behind the screen, there were tweezers to pick up this, that and the other thing. And some of the girls, of course, wouldn't use the facilities, and then they were liable to an accident.
More shells. That is the cry that comes from the front. Give them enough ammunition and they can stop the Germans. We must give them enough. We must see to it that come what may, the guns shall be fed.
You know, were they impatient because they were young, or?
No, I think it was a case of more so after the Dunkirk period, you see. There was a push for everything then, because most of the stuff was left behind in Dunkirk. And I think some of the girls were very anxious to get most stuff out, as much stuff out as possible, to counteract that, and then they took one or two little risks, you see. But I mean, if there was an accident, I would say it was more the operator's fault than the actual factory's fault, because they were very, very keen on safety measures.
Can you describe the powder that you were using, the TNT?
Yeah, well, the powder was, it was black, although we went yellow, and it was movable. It was alive. You understand? It was on the move all the time, so therefore that's why we had to be very careful how we handled it, because otherwise it would cause an explosion. And of course that's sometimes what did happen. Somebody would do something against the run of the powder and boom, out it would go.
And what would happen to their hands?
Well, they'd either lose fingers, they could lose their hands, or they could be blown, they'd lose joints,
Yeah,
they'd lose something,
yeah.
but they could also lose their hand.
The deft hands of women in filling factories are still the greatest factor in providing the fighting services with these vital shell components in huge quantities. Essential to every case-loaded shell is the primer, the component that ignites the cordite whose explosion drives the shell on its way. The skill of girls have filled primers for every British operation of this war.
As I told you, that one accident that I knew about, I'd only just come out of the shop to go and report it, and somebody fiddled with it, saying, touched the firing pin, poof, the whole lot went up, didn't it?
Can you describe, yes, I remember you telling me.
Tell you about that.
Can you describe that particular shift?
Well, it was a 2 to 10 shift it was. We'd gone at 2 o'clock, and this was happening about, about 9:30 in the night, just before we were due to come off. And this particular fuse came down, and I said, this one's no good, this is a danger. Then anybody touched this tray, took the tray away, put it one side. This chap that was in charge of the ROF said, oh, it's all right, that can be sorted up, that cap can come off. And I said, oh, I wouldn't touch it if I was you, I'll go and get my boss now. And I went through what we call the blast doors. I was through the outer door, and as I went out through the outer door, so the thing went up. So, who touched it? I couldn't tell you.
So,
I mean, I wasn't there.
You weren't there.
I'll put it this way, if I'd been there, I wouldn't be here now talking to you.
No.
Because there was a lot there to go up, you see.
So,
And one went up, but it set the others off, you see. Besides those that got away with it, kind of thing, that did live, but they were badly hurt. Very badly hurt. I was a lucky one. And there were 3 of us was lucky. And I was outside. 2 was in between the blast door and the outer door.
what happened to them?
Shock and blast, of course. Blast door saved them,
Yeah.
you know, saved their lives, but the reaction of it, or the fact that they were involved in the blow-up, I mean, I wouldn't took care of myself, mine, I'll admit.
I
So
can
I
imagine.
cried and cried for days
Yeah.
over it.
Because you left, obviously you left your mates in there.
You
didn't
cried and cried because you knew who was working there, you know, they were your workmates, weren't they? You know, they were only just hurt, and even those that lost fingers, they'd still come back. They come back to work. As I say, you weren't frightened while you were doing it. You never thought of the danger while you were working there. All right, we were working in danger, but you never thought of it as dangerous. You thought of it as a job of work.
Powder you were working with, the TNT powder, what effect did it have on your health and your appearance?
Well, it did have an allergy towards some of the girls, and they used to swell right up, and their eyes would go yellow inside, and their faces all swell right up, you know, and well, they'd have to be taken off the job because there was no way they could really work in it after that. Once they had the blow-up allergy, they couldn't work it anymore. But we were called the Canaries because we were yellow, and I mean yellow. Well, it was the powder actually getting into your skin and into your hair. You see, TNT is yellow. And of course your skin was going yellow, and all according to what colour you were, whether you were black, brunette, or brown, or blonde. If it was blonde, you went green. If it was brown, you went orange. If it was brunette, which is a deeper brown, you went yellow. You see? We'd put a solution of Parazone in our washing water to wash ourselves, and it's surprising how it paled it down, you know, like especially on the weekend, especially if you had a date, you know. It was a special date. Now, well, you'd have a good wash in bleached water, and it would tone it right down and temporary makeup on there. You didn't look too bad.
Did a lot of your friends get married during the war?
Well, quite a few did, but quite a few wouldn't until the war was over. You know, their boyfriends was abroad. I mean, you take my husband. I mean, he was out in the desert from 1941 right through to the end of the war. And there was marriages, don't misunderstand me, marriages didn't stop because there was a war on, but they had to wait until their boyfriends came home on leave and then got married then. But they got married by special licence. That was when the special licence came down, so that, as I'd say, the working class people could afford to get married by special licence. Because before that, special licence was something that only the upper class done.
What about babies? Did any of the girls get pregnant?
If they became pregnant, they had to leave the factory straight away, because the powder could affect the child. They didn't take any risks with the pregnancies. If they became pregnant, they left straight away. But they could come back when the baby was born if they wanted to. They didn't have to.
Did you find that the girls did come back?
Well, those that had their mothers to look after the children, yes. But those who didn't, of course, they didn't come back. Every day there was something on, and every shift would go up, you know, to the lunch, or the dinner, or the supper, or whatever it was, and while we were having our food, so they would be entertainers, and top-class entertainment too. Not rubbish, real top-class entertainment. And we had war bonds. Did have Clark Gabriel, for argument's sake. I can give you one instance. Clark Gabriel came there one day, and he was selling bonds, war bonds, for a kiss. But of course, you had to buy the bond first, right? I never did.
Did you kiss him?
No, I didn't. I didn't buy any bonds. I mean, we were a big family, we had to support one another. And although the wages were not that much better, we'd lived on, as I say, skim milk for so long, every time we had the cream. So I didn't buy no war bonds. I wasn't that patriotic. Right?
Did you ever feel that you wanted a break from this continual
Oh yes, I did have one break. And I all got myself in jail, but still, that's... yeah, well, we had permission to have a weekend off. And a weekend. So we went up to London on that weekend, my sister and her sister-in-law. Were going up to see their boyfriends. One was in the Navy, one was in the Army. And I was going along for the ride. And another girl, a friend of ours, Elvis, we were going up to Petticoat Lane to see if we can get some bargains for bottom drawer. So we went up for the weekend and we had a whale of a time, enjoyed ourselves. And they visited their boyfriends. I visited an aunt of mine up there, and we was only supposed to be in there, as I say, for a weekend. When it came to Sunday, we didn't feel like coming back. We were enjoying ourselves too much, so we stayed there for a week. So we had a telegram saying, you better come home, the police are looking for him. So we came home then, didn't we?
Were you disciplined when you got back?
Well, yeah, I was told not to do it again, you know. New places here in the factory, and we need you, and without you, we can't do this and we can't do that. But
you weren't really...
No, it was taken in stride. It was just the police had called at the house and said, where's Margaret Carlson and where's Elsie Carlson? And my mother said, well, they're in London. And I said, only had a weekend off. There's a full week now, you know. We'd like to see them back in work. Can you get in touch with them? So the telegram came, and we came back home then.
Were you frightened going back in?
No, I wasn't anyhow, but then of course I was a bit of a tomboy really. Nobody wanted me. I took everything in my stride. Anyhow, as I say, in those days we lived day to day. We didn't know whether we'd be alive the next morning. So we took things as we wanted to.
What about your weekends off, or your days off? What did you do then? Dances? And
oh yeah.
where did you go?
Bond, Park before it was, Park Hall before it was Bond, Party Pavilion, St Joseph's Hall. We didn't go as far as Manelty and Cross Island if there was no dance in town. If there'd been a raid, like say last night, there'd be no dance tonight, well fair enough, we've got as far as Manelty then. We always went to a dance or the pictures or have a drink or something like that, and we enjoyed ourselves.
There were big bands?
Oh
dancing?
yes, I mean it's not this disco business out there. I mean there were bands in those days. I mean we danced to Joe Loss and Ambrose and all those. And even the band and the parties, it was a damn good band.
Can you remember what it was called?
Now then, I think. Yeah, Excelsians, yes, that's right, Excelsians, that's right. I think he was in that now. There was Sid now, he was in it, he was MC. And there was Peter and John. Oh, quite a crowd. Well, I mean, they're old men now. I mean, they were young men when I was in my teens. They were about in their 20s. And they were damn good musicians, but they're only in small dance halls. Cost us 6pence to go in. Lovely, man. Penny for coke. 8p for a cup of tea. 12pence for a glass of beer. Lovely. I'm glad to go with Munitions again. I mean, it's not the ideal job, is it? It was a case of necessity at the time, wasn't it? Down there, you see, to that building there, that was a Bond building. The two blue doors in the front, there was another door in the back of those, and that used to be what they call the blast section. That was the safety from the shop in between. and coming out. That's where I was when the HE-10 went up and the roof went off it. You see, when I told you about those young girls being killed. Here where we're standing would be approximately where the canteen was.